quick introduction to everyone. So welcome students, welcome to today's presentation by Traineeship careers. Welcome to also those that are joining via Zoom. The team, Emil and Melissa, are going to be talking to you all about opportunities with Traineeship careers and obviously any questions as well. We are recording, as you can obviously hear via Zoom, for students that cannot make it in person. We also have some students joining today via Zoom who are online now. Students, if you cannot hear at any time on Zoom, let us know. Otherwise, I'll toss it over to Emil and Melissa to get started. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming today, guys, everyone here and on Zoom. As mentioned, I'm Emil. I'm the team leader here for the More Jobs More Care program. And we also have Melissa, our field officer. Now, can I just quickly ask before we begin, who is studying any allied health sciences, psychology, behavioral therapists, anything like that? Cool. What made you interested in the care sector? Disabilities, or wanting to work in it? And the answers, disability. Awesome. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good to hear. Now, can I get a rough idea where's everyone from in terms of the LGAs? Like, Campbelltown, Bankstown, Parramatta. Okay, cool. Awesome. Chatswood? Okay, well, okay. So essentially, since we're in the Sydney region, we cover all areas of Sydney, like Northern Beaches, Southwest Sydney. Yeah. So moving on, I'll just quickly go through the presentation. I won't take up too much of your time. Sure. So, I didn't put much effort into the transitions, apologies for that, and I don't plan to get off the slides as much. Now, what we've done with the More Jobs More Care program, it's get people to work in the care sector. It could be, people from the community, or it could be, uni students such as yourself. Now, we help with employment means in casual and part-time as well. What are you guys leaning more towards, casual or part-time? Part-time? Cool. Okay, to work in the sector, you will require a few things. You need to be vaccinated for one, because you are working with people that are maybe more vulnerable. And this is not a must, but it is a desirable requirement. Vehicle and a license. Everyone here drive? Have a car? It's okay if you don't. Now, the reason why I say it's desirable, let's say you're working with a client and you come across a situation where they may be required to go to the hospital or something like that. But obviously there's plans or contingency plans outside of that. So we'll continue to the next one. What we have to hour and what the difference is. As I mentioned, casual and part-time. Now I'll let Mel go into why casual sometimes may be better than part-time. It's completely dependent on who we are and what we're after.
Most certainly in this industry anyway, it is quite flexible. More often than not, you're looking at a 24-hour, 7-day week, every day of the year where people may require support. So you can be flexible, certainly around studies and other personal commitments as well. You kind of will choose when you want to work, you let your employer know, and they will do a roster for you around when you say you can work. So casual, that would be, the benefit for you there. Don't have any minimum requirements that you need to work. You do get a higher hourly rate. There's like casual working there, but you wouldn't get any leave or any time and stuff like that. That would come with part-time. And do you want to do part-time work?
Oh, but just touching bases on the casual component. Let's say you have a class in the morning at 9 a.m. You can do a quick 2-hour shift beforehand. Let's say that could just be helping someone with medications or something along the lines, or
a morning routine.
Yeah, a morning routine, getting them assisted to, let's say they have to go to work. They catch public transport, you would assist them, to the bus stop, watch them get on the bus, get paid for that, and then come into class right after. Or if you have massive breaks in between your classes or anything like that, you can also pick up a shift there as well. And touching bases on the high pay rates, now, you're looking around 30, 32 minimum an hour for casual rates in the disability sector. And 20 hours of body shifts. Now, since most of us have never worked in the care sector before, we help you with a transition, and every employer that we have under us we give them 20 hours to assist you guys. So you're either shadowing or you're watching someone else work, or you're getting the basis of it, or understanding who the client is, what you have to do. And that's also paid for you guys as well. And part-time traineeships. Now, I'll be honest, that's how we make our, I guess, justifications of our salaries. But what a part-time entails is, you get 15 hours of minimum a week of work. Now, there's also a bonus structure implemented if you do take on a traineeship. That's 5,000 over 2 years. So every 6 months you would get that bonus for just being a trainee and working in the sector. And you also do some on-the-job learning, which is also paid for as well. Now, and you're also open to student loans, such as, don't want to use the word HEX, but they use the options of that. Let's say if you need certain things, which I'm contract, and once again above award rates. So let's say a trainee award rate would be around 17 an hour. We're looking around 25 if it's done through us. Sure. I'll move on to this one. Well, Melissa will explain the different types of work we can face in the care sector.
Yeah.
Specific to disabilities.
So group homes might also be referred to as a seal house or a supported independent living arrangement. These are your accommodation settings. So you might have multiple NDIS participants in the one residence, all living together. And there would be a team of staff there to assist with routines and daily activities. So it could be cleaning and preparing meals, showering, any personal care that might be involved, or just a bit of social support, making a cup of tea or something like that as well. Community access as well. Anyone in the residential settings, or if it's someone living at home, they have community access. So that would be where you would take them out into the community. It could be anything from appointments to shopping to anything that might pertain to their goal. So it could be going to the movies or to a beach or a park or something like that. In support, these are people who still live in their own residence, but just require some basic support with any kind of more of the lower level support needs. With the differences in terms of shifts in a group home or in an accommodation setting, they're more of your block shifts that could be anywhere between 4 and 8 hours. Community access and in-home support, they're more your 2 to 4 hour shifts. They can be longer, of course, but they're more the ones that you can do either before uni or another job or something like that, before and after. Jack into your shifts and keep going with your day as well.
Thanks, Melissa. On touching bases on this as well, there's obviously more to it than we just listed. One that may be applicable to you guys is something called the SLES program. Now, can't remember the acronym for it, but what it is you're building employment skills for people outside of high school that have disabilities. So, you would help them with simple materials of teaching them how to cut vegetables, for example, if they want to be a kitchen hand, or teaching them assisting them in the barista course. It could be anything. Even if, let's say, if someone's goal was to learn how to drive, you would go there with the instructor, you would assist them, in the means of keeping them calm, answering their questions, and yeah, you get to build up your experience if you're doing, let's say, psychology or behavioral therapist, for example. Cool. Do we have any questions so far? Does anyone know what NDIS actually stands for? No? Okay. So if you're going to work in disabilities in Australia, you would always come under NDIS. That's the governing body for NDIS. Let's say, for example, everyone know what the ATO is? Yep. Yes, we all know that one. Well, that's the governing body for taxation. So in similarity, NDIS is the governing body for disabilities. NDIA is the governing body for aged care. Now, NDIS stands for National Disability Insurance Scheme. Initially, they named that for injuries due to, let's say, vehicle accidents, and then they have disabilities temporary or permanent. And, over time, they just expanded it to all disabilities in general. It could be from birth or so on and so forth. Now, yeah, any questions at all at this stage? No, that's all good. And I'll give you a little bit more background on myself and Melissa before we move on to the next stage. So we've worked prior to this program, the More Jobs, More Care program, we've both worked for NDIS providers. Now, I used to be the team leader for workforce planning, and Mel used to work for accounts as well as bookings. Now, if you have any questions about what it's like to work in the field, or even how it's like to work in the office for NDIS providers, we're happy to answer those questions. And I'll be honest, it's quite fun. But next slide. Cool. Okay, what a GTO is. I felt like the need to add this into the presentation solely because Apprenticeship Careers Australia is first and foremost a GTO. GTO is a group training organization. Now, it is different to what a uni is or what another RTO is, for example, TAFE. We don't do any teaching at all. What we do is the employment outcome. So you could be currently studying. We just provide the placements that you have for your current courses, and we make sure you guys get paid for it, or we can help you with, as mentioned, permanent or casual employment as well. Just make up those hours. We don't want you to do, this is my goal personally, I don't want you guys to do placement without getting paid for it. So we do the best about it. So as mentioned, GTO, the group training organization, horrible name in my eyes, but we're like a support service. Let's say you're trying to enter the workforce for the first time. It could be quite a scary experience. And, you're dealing with managers, multiple managers, different reporting lines, so on and so forth. Or you feel like you can't advocate for yourself, or you just need someone there as a point of contact to speak on your behalf or assist you. And let's say you're working for a provider, ADS provider. They've given you a report course during this night for after hours. No one's answering the phone. You can't make your shift, you're sick. You would just quickly message your GTO person, just saying, hey, look, I can't make it into work. No one's answering the phone. That's fine. That's perfect. We're the extra level of support for you guys. Cool. I also felt the need to add this into what a GTO isn't. It is not a babysitting service. There is set rules and regulations. Let's say you're calling us at 2 a.m. to say that you're not happy with work. We will answer you at 9 a.m. But we will always do the best we can by you. We are, I guess, the easiest way to put it, as mentioned, we're here to help you wherever we can. If you don't want us there to assist you in any way or form, we won't. If you want us there, we'll catch up maybe once every 3 months, every 6 months for a coffee, obviously have a shout, or even lunch, just to see how you guys are progressing, if things are going well, if you guys are, even if you have negative feedback, we'll take that on board, speak to the employer, sort something out, and a productive agreement, really. Cool. Take your pain away. It's just me talking about GTO once again. But even though Melissa and I are presenting for the care sector specifically, we also do anything that you can imagine. So civil engineering, mechanical engineering. If a role exists, I can make a position for it. So a few examples of is we're doing quite the infrastructure program on Sydney Building. Now that's not just for hands-on work. That's also office admin. That's payroll. It could be anything you could think of. Even if you want to work in a pharmacy, that's something that I'm working on the side. And if you want to move on to, let's say, create a pathway. Now, if you want to do your studies at uni and then also do something separately, let's say work towards becoming an RN. Don't want to steal it. We can also help you with a pathway so you're getting experience, and then you can also arrange other things with the uni as well. Now, let's see. Do we have any interest outside of the care sector at all? Anyone want to build tunnels? Work on the new Sydney Airport in Liverpool? Things like that does exist, and we will try our very best to. And this is the last slide that I have at the moment. Now, so Okay, I'll just move on. So what it says at the top is essentially the More Jobs, More Care program. Now, that is using state funding. So that's okay, keep talking. Anyone know what state funding is? Or ever come across the term state funding? Okay. Do we know how governmental tenders work? Okay, that's fine. I'll explain what a governmental tender is. It's let's say the government wants something to happen. What they'll do is they want an outcome stated and they'll put a dollar figure on it. And other companies will approach the government saying, hey, look, we can do the outcome for that amount. So we have the tender for More Jobs, More Care, which is creating opportunities in the care sector. That's why we're here today. So we have state funding around $8 each. We can get that for free. And we also have funding to cover the following units, which will let you have a better understanding into work if you actually get there. So your first aid, that's a compulsory. Anyone have their first aid here? Anyone ever know what the first aid is required to do? How about CPR? Anyone know CPR? That's all good and well. Well, to enter the sector, you have to have your first aid. And a part of the first aid is a CPR component. Now, anyone ever seen a video or watch movies where CPR has been done? Yeah? What do you think the legal requirement is for the CPR? In terms of time duration, how often or how long does the person have to keep going? Any guesses? I'll take any guess. So it's minimum 3 hours. Oh, not 3 hours, 3 minutes. Whoa. I almost would have been there, but 3 minutes. Now, the reason why I want to expand on that is CPR is very hard. No matter how fit you are, it is. Oh, here's cool. So when you have your first aid, there is a legal requirement. If you, let's say you're out in the public, you're out with a few mates, and you see someone that is possibly passed out or struggling to breathe, or there's been an accident or a car accident and someone needs CPR or attending to, legally speaking, you cannot walk away from that person. You are required to provide support as best as you can until appropriate authority comes by, let's say police or even ambulance or what? Cool. Does that scare anyone? Having a first aid? You'll be very surprised on how often you come across it. I had one feedback from one of the students where after they got their first aid, they actually told me, I've started to look for situations where I can actually use my first aid. I'm just, knock on wood, I come across someone that just needs CPR, I just want to try it. But yeah.
It doesn't have to be into that extreme. It can be little cuts and burns or anything like that.
Infection control is a very major one. Anyone know what an EpiPen is? Yes. So you'll get basically exposed to those things. EpiPen is quite the adrenaline rush for someone that's having, let's say, a allergic reaction that's very severe. Anyways, so these are the units that we cover, I guess, prior to you commencing work. Now, once again, these don't have to be done for you to commence your work with us. This is just something that we offer on the side as, like, if you want to be a pre-employment kind of component. It's not a necessity and it's not compulsory at all. If you want to work, we'll make it happen. That's not an issue. But if you want to be well prepared or more prepared for the sector, we offer these so you have an understanding of what you need to do when you get there. Instead of your first day going, okay, I'm here, I'm new, know where I'm going. Let's run with it. That works. It does. That's how 50% of the staff, yeah.
I have a question from Shaffer.
Yeah.
The employer requirement, is it different for international students because they don't know how to get a police check in Australia?
Yeah. Okay. Now, for, let's say, Visa 500 specifically, international students, now it has to touch bases on state funding. Now, state funding does not allow me to cover the costings for those things, but a police check can still be done by an international student It will have to come out of their own pocket, unfortunately, but we can still help them with casual work. That is not an issue. I can find them work tomorrow if they want to.
And just for further clarity, for police check, for any international students that are in the room or on Zoom, how would they get that done? For those that just don't know or haven't had to do one before.
Awesome. There's many ways. If you do a quick Google search for me, just police check, you'll find multiple links. But the one I would recommend is AFP, so Australian Federal Police, or there's also one called Fit to Work. Fit to Work is one that we're contracted with and it is the cheapest. So if you do it directly with AFP, that's around $90 as far as I'm concerned. Awesome. And I'll just close this off. Actually, I'll just leave it up. I'll further expand in terms of employment needs. This sector needs people. I was not joking when I said 30 seconds ago, if you have a resume for me and you want to work, I'll get you interviewed within 3 business days. So, as a casual, part-time will take around 7 days. That's just due to our paperwork. Gruesome. Horrible. But casual can be done very instant. So, any questions at all?
So when you say you can get like a job in 3 days, you would need all these things?
No.
No? Okay.
The only thing that you'll need is at the top a police check, working with children, and an NDA check, and a first aid. That's the true 4 requirements to work in the care sector. Nothing else. The rest are just additionals. It's good to know knowledge.
The license?
Once again, it's a desirable. Yeah. If you have it, makes life easy. But if you don't have a license, we do have a few hosts that will take those without licenses, and that will be more in a group setting, like a group home setting. If you have your license, you get to do more fun things. Probably shouldn't use the word fun things, but it's okay. But if you have a license, you get to go to, you know, the swimming activities, the beaches, the movies, teaching them how to build their skills up. Those things will be out in the community or the specific workshops. For example, have you guys ever gone to a commercial kitchen, or have you seen an open concept restaurant where you can see the chefs? There's a few programs out there where you have the same setup and you will take your clients there and the chef will teach them how to cut the vegetables, prepare the meat, so on and so forth. And you're there to make sure that they cut themselves, they don't escalate, they don't have any triggers available. Okay, and yeah, do you have anything else? Because I can talk for ages.
Yeah, we've got some questions coming through chat. Thanks, by the way, for these questions and for your presentation. First question is from Michelle. Can they have an email address in their resume? So what's the best way for them to get their resume to you?
Awesome. Yes.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Awesome.
Or should they apply? Do you have a vacancy on through student employment?
Yes, we'd have a vacancy through student employment services. Touching basis on that, I was telling primary earlier, Macquarie has been the best so far for us in terms of people applying and getting a job outcome. So far, in terms of statistical matter, I have 60 people from January applied for this, and we've gotten 30 of them employed. So it's quite a good outcome, and it's been both half-half. Most would want a part-time with a casual setup. So, you know, those 2 hours here, 3 hours there, 4 hours there, under a part-time contract, or they would want the casual hours, which is great either or. Wish I could give you some feedback. Unfortunately, the 2 that I'm in touch with personally are working. But yeah, so far so good. And yeah, I can talk for ages about the care sector. So if you guys have any questions, you know, by all means, still happy to answer.
And just let everyone know real quick. So what I'm going to talk about is the student employment service that we have within the careers and employment service. Has anyone ever heard of MJMC before? I know. What that is that within our team, we have recruiters essentially that recruit for paid work for current students, recent graduates, anybody that's been affiliated with Macquarie University. They have employers such as apprenticeship careers, who are advertising jobs. It could be a movie theater, it could be an accounting firm, it could be a physio or a chiro, all sorts of jobs. And what MQSC does is that when students register their services, you'll be given a an intake appointment. You'll be getting advice on maybe the status of your current resume or interviewing skills. And once that is all kind of improved, you'll then be put into their jobs flow. Thank you. The process is really easy. And once you're approved, you'll get a weekly newsletter. You'll get, if there's jobs that are tailored to your skill set, you'll get emailed directly to you to see if you want to apply. And the best thing about it is if you apply to the job and you're not successful in QSC through their employer, we'll give you feedback as to why you're not successful. And then you'll also, and so you can take an approval on it later as well. It's all free of charge to you. And again, it's for current students and recent graduates. So you have that service after you graduate as well. Are there any questions in the room? Otherwise, we have a few more in chat. Okay. What if from Karen we have zero work experience? Will we still be able to find a job as easily as you just stated?
Zero work experience. Yes, that's what the program is set up for. I'd highly recommend they partake in the modules more care component, where they would get the not only the exposure that they need, but also a basic foundation on how to work in this sector.
Right, thank you. And from Shahan, should I get a first aid certificate before applying, or can I apply later? You may have already answered this.
Yes. Is this the one with the visa 500? Sorry. No? Okay, cool. If you're a citizen, PR, or on a humanitarian visa, you want a first aid, I'll cover it for you. Not an issue. However, if you are an international student that don't meet the criteria, unfortunately, you will require first aid prior to looking forward in this sector. It is a necessity, and there's no ifs and buts on it, unfortunately.
And for students that may not know, where, and apologies if you already know it, but where can they go to get the first aid certificate? What would you recommend?
Your first aid certificate? Now, just as there's multiple unis, there are multiple RTOs across the board. In New South Wales alone, we have 4,000. The most expensive one would be TAFE. Probably shouldn't have said that again, but there is, just if you Google first aid, you'll be able to find what's in your pricing and what's your availability, what will suit you the best. Yeah.
Be surprised that we could choose from.
Yeah, I think in Macquarie alone, you have 6 RTOs just across the road. Yeah, they can do the first aid for you.
And on that same subject, Miriam is asking for students that qualify for it to be covered. How will you cover it for them? Will they send a receipt, or how does that process work?
That process works. In terms of, if you meet the criteria, we'll get you a part of the program, and that's all done through our own funding. She won't have to be so much, going out and doing her own research. It's all taken care of for her.
Okay, gotcha. You probably put over this already as well, but what is an NDIS worker screen, and do they have to pay for it? I guess for domestic and international students.
Cool. Okay, so what the NDIS worker screen is, it's actually quite fun in my eyes. So a police check and a working with children, we obviously know what that is. Police check, it's for any court or any outcomes if you've been to court, if you've created any criminal outcomes. And then working with children is to further indulge into the concept if you're safe to work with children. That's just depending once again on the courts. What an NDIS worker screening is, it's a combination of both. So the police check, it's valid for 12 months to 2 years in this sector. They're working with children. Technically speaking, on state law, it's 5 years, but providers would prefer 3 years. Now you have to get that renewed every 2 or 3 years. However, NDIS worker screening, it's a live version of them both. So let's say you get a NDIS worker screening check done, it comes out clear, perfectly. It comes out clear, perfect. You speed on the way home, you get pulled over, you get a ticket. The employer will know within 30 minutes. Yeah. So that's just more of a live feed of the both fused together. And how you would go about it. So working with children and NDIS worker screening is done through Service New South Wales. And for citizens, PR, and humanitarian visas, we can reimburse you. That's no issue. Unfortunately, for international students, I cannot.
Is the cost cheaper if you do the NDIS worker screen rather than having the separate screens for the post check and working with children check?
Unfortunately, the NDIS worker screening only got introduced last year. So a few of the providers are transitioning into just having the one, but at this stage, all three is required. It can be quite costly, but do you know what SHAD stands for?
Social, community, housing. And
Now, do we know how to look up an award on Fair Work Commission at all? Awesome. So what the care sector comes under is called the SHADS Award. Thank you. So if you have the first aid or any penalties that you have through the award is to make sure that those checks are covered over time. So, you know, if you have a first aid, you get paid a little bit extra. That's just to make sure when you go to renew it, you have the funds available because you can be paid extra to cover it. Yeah. Like I said, the sector is in need of staff members, so they're trying to make it very attractive to anyone wanting to enter the sector and gain experience where they can. And the reasons why I've been approaching universities such as you guys, it's you may be studying allied health or certain fields that are very, you'll be dealing with clients in the future that have disabilities or are in aged care. Get the exposure, get the ground level experience that you need to use in the future. Even if you do this for like 1 or 2 years, that's okay. You've got any experience, you can add it to your resume and use it in the future as well. Or if you're doing completely something different, for example, we have a few IT students. They're just doing this for the money. Like I said, $30 for a casual. If you're 19, it's quite high. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
That's just a start. If you work weekends, it's going to be late. If you work the night, you will not.
In 2019, the public holiday rate was $60 an hour. Yep.
Do you have to do that through the More Jobs, More Care, like
Yes.
whole 4-week program?
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole program.
Sorry, can you repeat, kind of summarize that question just for those on Zoom? They can't always hear who else's numbers I know. If you just summarize what you just said and answer it, it would help them out as well.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
So, getting the first aid covered under the More Jobs, More Care program. Yes, you have to enroll into the program. However, that 4-week component is something that we stated at the start of the program, which was last year. However, we've developed a lot since then and trying to meet the needs of uni students specifically, we've made it kind of self-paced. So you do these units whenever you can. You know, we'll give you a time frame, 2 months. Get it done whenever you're free, and you'll be online. And the first aid, you know, let's say you've done infection control and communicate with healthcare services. Once you've done, let's say, those two, the RTA will approach you saying, hey, look, you're good to go for the first aid. I think you're ready. Then you do the first aid and then get it sorted.
So, hypothetically, how fast do you think you could get approval about how long?
Ooh, that's on an individual basis, case to case on who we are. The quickest I've seen it, 3 days.
Okay, that's a week. A week to 2 weeks.
Yeah, a week to 2 weeks is the proper amount. I have seen a Macquarie uni student do it in 1 week.
And with the police check and the children check, does that come in a week's time? Like how long? Does that take?
That's a very good question. I really appreciate that one. Okay, so a police check and working with children. Now, you would have to you would apply for it on Service New South Wales and then go into the same way part, New South Wales, Service New South Wales in person to pay for it. You can't pay for it online. You know, save the receipt, chuck it back to me, I'll pay you back, no issues. But getting it back, so if you're clear, your working with children will come within 1 or 2 business days. The police check, once again, if it's clear, you'll have it within the week. Now, if there's something that is an outcome, it will take a while because they have the outcomes there, then they have to do further digging on what the outcome was for, what the case was for, what were the logistics behind it, and then report it.
The NDIS working check?
That is not so much a check per se in terms of a time limit. What happens with the NDIS worker screening check is you go apply for it, you pay for it, and then it comes to the employer, which is yours truly, for me to approve, say, yep, let's start a record on them to see, you know, what comes about from here on. Yeah. Well, my team approves the NDIS worker screening once a week on a Friday.
All applications can be started online and then straight into services for 2 weeks. So once you've done the initial application, when you apply for the job or to interviews, you can let them put in an application. Let them know it's in the process. So you can normally be able to start work at any time because you'll be with another worker with that application whilst you're waiting for the option.
There is a service newsletter for the center and the Quarry Center, shopping center. It's maybe a floor or two down. If it's convenient to you on campus, I suggest going maybe at a off-peak time, maybe a Friday afternoon if you're here, or a Thursday one. I think it's like a weird time if you want normally in the shopping center. And hopefully it won't be as long of a line as well.
The line is like the post office. Shocking. Yes.
To get all this info,
I'll get up to the section, send you through the links, maybe, and how to do it. And then, yeah, we'll do from there. I want to make this experience for you guys as supportive as possible. So, you know, even if you're an international student, I'm not going to say, look, I can't help you because state funding says no. I'm going to do the best by you guys I can. Find you the appropriate links, you know, the cheapest one, the closest to you, so on and so forth, and then help you transition. And there's one thing that I feel like I've missed out on. So going back to what a GTO is, it works in a very interesting way. Yes, we're the employer. Yes, we're a company. However, all the work that you guys do is with other organizations. So even though we may hold a contract for a part-time, we that's only for work health and safety to make sure that you have a safe environment. We do these checks with the employer's price, so we don't send you out into the world where you may be exposed to things that we don't want you to be. Let's be honest, we've all come across those with scenarios where you come into work and there's trip hazards, there's knives everywhere. It's just unsafe, or it's just mentally not an environment supporting area. Anyway, so right now we have 40 to 42 NDIS providers that we work with across Sydney. Now, a casual contract will lay directly with them, but a part-time contract will lay with us. So that's why I meant the turnover for casual hire. Parramatta, you come to head office, I annoy you with coffee, tea, I even offer toast on Mondays. And, you know, we'll get you go through the paperwork. It is quite the lengthy process in that instance, but nonetheless, you're more secured in that way. So I don't think there'll be any legalities if I do share some with providers that we do partner up with. Anyone know or heard of any NDIS providers? Anyone watch the news during COVID? That weekly update to see what the COVID numbers were, or the daily update? During that phase, a company such as DSA, anyone heard of DSA, Disability Services Australia? Cool, we work with organizations such as that, Achieve, Affordability. If you can think of it, we work with them. Yeah.
There's another question, or thanks for that, another question on chat around, for those of us applying immediately and haven't completed any of these modules or got any of the checks and certificates, I know you've been over this.
Yep.
But just for clarity, I guess, what does a student need?
For you, the NDIS provider will have your resume for contact details. They'll interview, they'll get in touch with you. The only thing will be the difference from there is your start date. They'll be like, okay, perfect, you're great. I love the personality. I love who you are as a person. This is what the provider is looking for. It's not what you have on paper, but so much on what you have to offer as a person. Because you're working with people with disabilities, or could be possibly with aged care, you know, dementia, so on and so forth. Or it could be, you know, Asperger's, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's it's highly dependent on who you are as a person. So if they like you, they'll hire you off the bat, but then they may push back your start date to when you have the police check, they're working with children, and so yeah.
Thanks for that.
It's quite the quick process in that instance. I'll be honest, if you're in the Bankstown area, if you're willing to try and get highly based on who you are. Yeah, it's a good faith thing there.
And what sort of personality type or personality traits would you recommend for these sorts of roles? What do students need? Like, what's your typical ideal person?
So they're generally looking for engagement. So you have a bubbly personality, you ask questions, that kind of thing. They want to know that the main thing is to be engaging with their client, so that you're not just going to stand next to them and they're off doing their own on the phone and everything like that. But you're communicating with them, you're engaging with them. So that's more what they're looking for. They do want to hear, about any of your interests that might match up with one of their clients. So if you really like a particular sport or something like that, then they might be immediately in there. Oh, we have this person that might be a really good fit if they love that as well. And then that's common ground that you have straight away, and that person might come out and show a bit more to you just based off that fact. So that kind of, they want to know about your interests and that kind of thing as well.
Examples would be, we had one client at our previous roles, where you would go to the gym for 4 hours, you work out with him, you support him, spot him when need be, and he does the same to you. There was a separate client that would walk for 8 hours. You have to be very fit for that. There was one client where we just go to the movies, help him because he had no understanding of money or literacy skills. So we'd help him understand how to use money in the community, or there's no true definition of what you have to do as a disability support worker at all, or a social worker. It is definitely case to case. And there is no perfect personality of what we're after. Yes, you can be bubbly, so on and so forth. Some clients may not like that. Some clients just want you to be there for them. If they want to approach you, they will. The thing that I say that you can't do is essentially just this. Don't be on your phone. That's the biggest complaint that we have. It's people using their phone on shift. That's when the clients feel like you're not engaging with them. The goal in disability isn't to do the task for them. You're helping them to do it for themselves. You're building their skills. The only time you would do something for them is when they can't do it themselves, if they don't have the capacity to do it for themselves. But if they have the capacity, they just don't have the skills yet, you're helping them build those skills.
Well, my career's had on just one moment, as everyone knows. So what we're talking about, Mel's talking about, are great transferable skills. So no matter what degree you're studying, no matter what job, career you end up going into, things like communication, working with those who may not be the easiest to work with, time management, being engaging, working as part of a team, or even just being approachable, friendly, etc. These are all very basic, right? They're very, very useful character traits to take with you as you go on to further your career as well. So don't think that, oh, this is a job I can do for money, it's not going to be a good overall career goal, because there are definitely connections that you can make between skills you're learning as being a care support worker into your next career.
Yeah, the best example I could think of in that instance is I have currently 2 support workers that blew my mind away. During COVID, how was the tourist life or the international travel? Non-existent. I have a pilot that is a support worker. Ever since he started, he refuses to go back to being a chartered pilot. He just loves it. He actually does his presentations now. I'm meeting up with him on Thursday. He loves speaking about it and the change of the sector and how it's helped him grow as a person. Another example I could think of is an accountant. He didn't have much work during the COVID phase, but he loves this sector. So, even if you're a bit on the edge or on the ledge about a few things. One, if you're in the right degree, if you're working towards the right sector, or what plans you can make for your future career. It's a lot of skills that you can also cross over as well. If you're, let's say, waiting tables, or you're working at a bar, even if you're working as a telecoms or anything like that, you're working with people. That's all it is. You're working with people, and what does it cost to be nice? It's kind of free. Yeah. I feel like I've spoken non-stop. I'm so sorry. So if we don't have any questions remaining.
I'm gonna stop the recording as well. Because I want to add all sorts of